So it's another Thursday night here in the atelier, and the
Here we
wine
are.
cowboys, Tom and Marcel, are back.
That's great.
Back in the saddle.
Back in the saddle. Here we are.
Very good. So we chose a nice topic, I think.
I think
we
did.
want to talk to you guys, reading and listening and seeing our videos about sweet wines, because we got a lot of questions about how is sweet wine made.
Okay.
So I think we have a whole range. We're going to taste two lovely wines. They're hugely expensive, so
We can't drink all of them.
no, we have to keep
We can't
some
taste all of
for
them.
other good friends.
Ah,
But it's nice to see all the different styles and the different ways to make a sweet wine.
this is great. And the first time we ever met, actually, my sister was there. We had lunch. She had brought a bottle that had been delivered to me. Marcel seemed to know about wine. I said, "Have you heard of Vin de Constance from South Africa?"
Constance,
So we
yeah,
cracked
wow.
it open, and it was fantastic.
That's
that
one
was,
of the rarest sweet wines in the world,
yeah,
from
that's
South
it.
Africa.
And we,
one of the oldest too.
Yes, and we drank it within
True.
an hour or so of meeting.
In good company, you're right. So I've got a whole range here. We're going to taste a couple. To start with, the first one I want to touch here is how we make wine in this area.
Okay.
The sweet wines, for example, Saint-Jean-de-Minervois makes a fantastic muscat,
Okay.
which is actually a wine they cut the fermentation by adding alcohol. So that means
Okay.
they pick grapes,
Yep.
probably a bit early here to keep freshness and acidity,
Yeah.
because that's what you want in sweet wine.
Yeah.
So they pick the grapes, start fermenting,
Yeah.
and then when they reach about 4 or 5% alcohol, they
Right.
cut fermentation by adding pure alcohol, which
And-
kills all the yeast.
Yes.
So what's left is a very sweet wine,
Yeah.
and you raise the alcohol up to 15%, and that's what they do classically in Saint-Jean.
Because what's happening during fermentation, basically, is the yeast is eating the sugar and making alcohol. And if you don't want it to eat all the sugar, you have to stop it.
Yeah.
And one of the ways of stopping it is by adding alcohol.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And it's the same method they do in Portugal, making port.
That's right.
It's also a mutation wine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you see that type of wine a lot around the world.
Mhm.
Another thing, late harvest.
Okay.
If you wait, you wait and wait and wait in the vineyard, the
Right.
sugar levels will rise in the grapes. It's a big risk, you know.
Yeah.
Some areas where they have a stable climate, they can wait a bit longer than September or beginning
Right.
of October to pick.
Right.
So late harvest is a bit tricky,
Right.
but the sugar levels will rise and rise and rise. And if you start fermenting,
Yeah.
after, let's say, 12, 13, 14, 15%, the yeast won't work anymore. So
Yes.
what's left is still a lot of sweetness naturally in the wine.
So what you're doing there is, rather than stopping the yeast, you're just letting it, the grapes get so sweet that by the time the yeast has naturally gone, there's still residual sugar.
That's correct.
Got it. Okay.
So we see that in Germany, Austria, Alsace here in France.
Okay.
And in the New World, of course, too. Everyone is talking about that.
You're making me thirsty. Okay.
We'll walk them through and then start tasting. So another way is to make wine out of frozen grapes.
Ooh, chili.
So you need a climate for that.
Yeah, indeed.
Although Randall Graham in California,
Oh,
he puts his grapes into the freeze box.
Bonnie Doon.
Yes.
Yes.
You know him?
Yes.
He's fantastic.
Yes.
He's like us, a wine cowboy. I would
Yes,
say.
and he also has a wine which is called the Cigar Volant,
Yes.
the flying cigar, because there is a town in somewhere near Châteauneuf-du-Pape where they made a proclamation and they banned aliens from landing. And he thought it was so
Oh,
interesting
really?
that he named his wine after the
Okay.
Cigar Volant, the flying cigar.
Yes. So even in California, you can make ice wine, as we call it.
Out of the freezer.
it's
I did
made-
not know that.
Yes, it's made out of frozen grapes.
Great.
So in Austria, Germany, and here in Canada, which
Yeah.
we're gonna taste later on,
Oh,
they can wait until the grapes are frozen.
okay.
And when there's a couple of days of -10, they pick the grapes, the frozen grapes, and press them immediately.
Okay.
So what happens? The water and the crystals of ice are separated from the juice because
Yeah.
it's ice.
Yeah.
You can't press ice, but you can press the grapes, which are very, very concentrated and sweet, of course, after that.
Ah, okay.
So you get a reduction in volume. You know, there's not much left,
Right.
but it's really like nectar. It's like
Ooh. Oh.
incredible sweet. We're gonna taste that.
We're interested
It's a
in
nice
that.
one
That's
from
a good
Canada.
Okay.
Pourriture Noble. You lived in Bordeaux, so you can talk about Pourriture Noble.
No, I think you better tell us about that.
Okay. So in some areas where there's a huge
Those good
humidity,
dogs.
humidity, there is like a fungus growing on the grapes.
Right.
And there's good and bad funguses.
Yeah.
And in some areas where there's a lot of mist in the morning, you get very good fungus.
Botrytis.
Botrytis.
Oh, okay.
Which is the noble rot.
Yeah.
So what happens, the fungus will penetrate the skin of the grapes. That means water is evaporating.
Right.
So that's a natural way to get concentration in the grapes.
And also, the good thing about where you can grow it in places like Sauternes and Montbazillac, if it's misty in the morning, that's good because it's moist and it enhances the fungal growth. But then if it's sunny in the afternoon, it dries up the moisture and reduces the chance of that gray rot
All right.
wiping out the grape. Okay.
So imagine Chateau d'Yquem, all the big Sauternes, Quart de Chaume in the Loire. It's all from botrytis affected grapes, which I think are the most special wines because the fungus also gives a silver lining to the flavors.
And they're delicious.
They're fantastic.
Delicious.
Another way to make sweet wine is like they do in Italy and in Sicily and Pantelleria, where we've got something to taste.
That's right.
So my favorite is Recioto della Amarone.
Okay.
So Recioto is like a very sweet wine made out of dried grapes.
Okay.
Amarone is the dry wine
Right.
made out of dried grapes.
Right.
The process for Recioto, which I think is the best wine in the world. If you want to find me a Christmas gift or a birthday gift,
Okay.
Recioto is my thing. So what they will do is they dry the grapes, harvest it in September, October.
Yeah.
On mats in sheds where there's a lot of air, so they shrink. It's like raisins.
Yeah. Yeah.
They start fermenting that by adding also a fresh grape juice from the Amarone or grapes from the Amarone.
Right.
You boost another sugar level and another fermentation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, it's like from 10 kilos you actually have 1 kilo of grapes, something like that. So it's very expensive. It's very good. One of my favorites, I would say.
Fantastic.
Do you like sweet wines?
I do like sweet wines. The problem is I have a sweet tooth and I like chocolate. The thing is, once I start drinking it, I don't want to stop. And that's not too good.
Yeah.
However,
do we drink a lot of sweet wines, you think, in generally?
I think that in the United States, people do like semi-sweet wines. Quite a few people like sweet wines also.
Okay.
Not necessarily the more expensive ones, but it is. I mean, you think of it's generally people do like at least semi-sweet wines, 3 to 5%.
And did you see that I'm
sugar.
not using the word dessert wine here?
I
Because-
did not notice that,
Okay.
but you're telling me.
I want to express that I think these wines are called sweet wines for a purpose because it's not only dessert wine.
Yeah, that's right.
Like a muscat you can have as an aperitif here.
Yeah.
If you go Saturday morning to the market in Carcassonne at 12 o'clock, you've got your bag and everything stuffed.
Yeah.
You get a glass of muscat in the bar and then
12
go home
o'clock.
for lunch.
I'm sure people do it at 10 o'clock too, huh?
Oh, they might put the clock a little bit different.
Oh, fantastic.
So last time we did the Cowboy show here, the first one.
Indeed.
We talked about music too. So there's a whole lot of music around sweet wines, Think of Home, Sweet Home, Alabama.
Sweet Home Alabama. And who sung that?
That's Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Lynyrd Skynyrd, yeah.
So next one is then for you. Sweet Child of Mine.
Sweet Child. Well, that wasn't Moody Blues, was it? No, that's...
No, it's later.
No.
I'll help you. Guns N' Roses.
Oh, well, I'm not a big fan, but I do like that song. Yeah.
Sweet Caroline. That's a bit in your
Sweet
generation.
Caroline.
Neil Diamond.
Was it? Okay.
So a lot of songs with sweet. I've got 2 more noted here. So the Eurythmics made a nice song called Sweet Dreams Are Made of.
In 1983.
And what about George Harrison, My Sweet Lord?
Oh, sweet Lord. Oh, good. Good.
So we got 2 glasses.
Okay.
I'll pour you some of the ice wine,
That's great.
which is it's a tiny bottle, when I bought it, it's in a big box. You open up the box and it's 200 centiliters, and it's about 45 euros or something.
Wow.
So 2009 ice wine
Okay.
from Inniskillen, which is quite famous here in the lake area.
Okay.
And we're gonna taste the other glass because I think it's dark wine. No, a little bit more. What do you got there?
It's somewhat dark. Okay, so
Oh,
what I
no,
have here
still.
is if it is comes from Donifugata,
Yes.
in a well-known wine producer in Sicily,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they do produce grapes in different areas. And this one, Benri, which is an Arab name meaning son, S-O-N, of the wind,
All right.
is produced on the island of Pantelleria.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And the island of Pantelleria off the southwest coast of Sicily
Good for
is
capers,
halfway
too.
to Tunisia. Good
Of
for
course. Capers.
Ah, okay.
They have special capers there. I know.
Ah, and they use the pesito method also
Okay.
because, as you'd mentioned, it's windy, it's hot, it's dry, and so they can leave the trays of grapes out for weeks, months at a time,
Okay.
and then they do 2 harvests, and one of them they'll dry the grapes, and when you dry the grapes, they shrivel.
Yeah.
So proportionally, you're increasing the acidity, sugar, and alcohol, and then you're going to have
It's like
hopefully-
a concentration
exactly.
of flavors.
You're going to have hopefully a nice sweet wine. You can see the colors. This one, the Donifugata, is
Really amber
darker.
color a bit like, huh? And mine's
That's
very
right.
clear. They don't mention any grapes here, but I saw on the website they have Riesling.
well. This
which-
one is Zabibo,
Zibibo. Oh,
and
yeah.
Zabibo is Muscat de Alexandria.
Ah, all right.
And the
Oh, I didn't know
Muscat family is basically Muscat de Alexandria,
Yeah.
and then Muscat de Frontignan, which they make the wine Vin de Constance in
Yes,
South Africa,
yeah,
which
yeah.
they make Moscato d'Albi in Piemonte, and which they also use to make. It'll come to me. I'm not sure.
So the 2 big Muscat families are the Petit Grain,
Oui.
which they have here in
which is
Saint-Jean,
the Frontignan.
and Frontignan
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
and the Alexandria. Those are the
Exactly.
two.
Exactly.
So one of my wine teachers, Wendy Gedney, learned me to look at sweet wine not only to the sweetness, but look at the acidity.
Uh-huh.
Because and not take a little sip, you know, it doesn't matter. If you only tip your tongue,
Okay.
of course you will taste sweet.
Yeah.
But take a good, solid taste.
Okay, I'm ready.
Let's do that. Cheers. Good to have you.
Cheers. Good to be here.
So, Inniskillen, ice wine from Canada.
Oh, beautiful. Gorgeous mouthfeel. Nice acidity. And the flavors, you have that almost like white pears.
Yeah, white
And,
fruit.
Yeah.
It's
a little
really
bit of
mouth
honey.
filling.
Yeah, beautiful.
It coats your tongue and your gums, and
Oh, yeah.
it's very smooth.
Liquid
It's
pleasure.
quite sweet.
Yeah.
It's very sweet. But there's a good acidity next to that.
But
too.
not excessively so. It's you don't feel like you. Yeah, it's balanced.
Yeah.
So this would be good for food also.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe with, I don't know, like
Well, goat's
Blue
cheeses
cheese,
too.
goat cheese,
Yeah,
that
blue
would be good.
cheese.
yeah.
Because of the acidity, that helps with the lactic part in cheese.
Ah.
Wow, this is big. Yeah, the white pear, white fruits is really dominating here.
Yeah. Honey.
It's not as racy as I call it as Riesling. Riesling is really very typical.
Quite sharp.
If you have
Can be
Gewürztraminer
acidic.
or a Riesling,
Yeah.
a late harvest or a Grand Noble, you really recognize the flavors.
Beautiful.
It's very smooth, very elegant.
Mm-hmm.
And blindly, I wouldn't put this in Canada. You know,
Not
all
at
my
all.
all the wines I tasted in my life, I think perhaps 20 are from Canada. So
Yeah.
I have not a big reference. I have to say.
No, I'm not well versed in Canadian ice wines either.
Well, we have a couple of good Canadian friends around here. So
Well, then let's get
whenever
let's
they get
into
back,
it.
we have to
Yeah.
say, bring us a couple of
Yeah,
bottles. more."
exactly. A couple of cases.
Yes. Mm.
Mm-mm. You could have this after eating,
Yeah.
and as you mentioned before, also.
Even
Little,
on its own,
aperitif.
these wines are lovely. Everyone thinks you have to wait for dessert for this. No, you can drink this on a Sunday afternoon or a Monday evening. You know?
Yeah. or a a Thursday night,
Thursday night, like we do now.
as we are.
Yeah, cool.
You
So, do you have any favorites in the sweet wine? What is your top three you've ever tasted?
I mean, I do love a good Sauterne.
Yeah,
They can be quite pricey. I do like Montbazillac from Bergerac, and you're going to Bergerac now because you're buying some wines.
Correct.
So when you're there, you should stop by Montbazillac.
Yeah.
They have a nice,
Cool.
cathedral. They have a castle there.
Mm-hmm.
Very affordable.
All right.
Very affordable, and I think it's some beautiful wines. And Tokaj from Hungary.
Yeah, we didn't
that's,
touch that yet. That's interesting.
That's a beautiful grape also.
Yeah.
And I think that's also that's from Ferment, the Ferment grape.
Ferment grape, cool.
Yeah.
So another one we didn't touch yet, but port wine from Portugal. It can last forever too. I've tasted wines from 100 years old and they're still okay. Like vintage port, the things you can really stock.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky because I'm from 63.
Yeah.
I'm very old. 63 was a fantastic vintage in Portugal for vintage.
Year of the Rabbit, was it not?
It's the year of the rabbit now. That's
And now, how
correct.
would I know that?
I don't know. It's the Chinese influence we have here.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at your
Lei
de Pantelleria.
Yeah, on the nose, kind of like a little bit of.
Even red fruits?
Yeah, maybe a little bit of brandy there.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely stouter.
Yeah.
It's sort of like drinking a Guinness as compared to a lager.
It's not sticky sweet, you know. It's very refreshing in the end, especially.
Doesn't have the beautiful mouthfeel as that ice
No,
wine
it's
does.
leaner perhaps, a little bit drier perhaps too, if you measure the sugar levels.
Yeah, but it does have some good, nice flavors like candied oranges, brown sugar, white pears also. Yeah.
I see toasted nuts and fruits here in a cake or things like that.
Yeah.
You know, you can have dessert here if it's not too sweet.
This would be good for a fruit cake. Christmas cake.
Something like that. Yeah. So in my work as a sommelier, I learned that to pair sweet wine with dessert, the wine should be sweeter than the dessert. So you have to be careful with sugar levels in the dessert.
Right.
So keep it natural with cakes or fruit cakes. It's better, and it makes the wine taste better. It shows off the wine, which is the idea. The food should be the carrier, the wine should be the star. I think.
I agree, because how long does it take to make a meal? Maybe 2 hours, maybe 4 hours.
Yeah.
How long does it take to make a wine? Maybe 2 years, maybe 4 years, maybe more.
Incredible.
So actually, you're correct. The wine should be the star of the show.
Yes, pairing with food. Yeah, the wine should always get highlighted. So I think we can do another couple of tastings evenings like this to touch perhaps.
I think it's a great idea.
And the late harvest we didn't do, the botrytis wines.
Definitely.
I want to get something from the Loire. I really love Card de Chaume and.
I have a Lupiac.
Like
a few Lupiacs. They're close. Yeah, not
we
so
can
far.
do that.
Yeah, that'd be great. We'll do sweet wine number 2.
Sweet wine number 2 will come somewhere this season.
Right, not necessarily consecutively.
No,
but
we have other nice topics coming up.
So you have to hang around and keep watching.
Yes.
While we're having our conversation.
We're not selling the channel, you know. We don't have to just subscribe or push the I like button. You do whatever you like.
Not quite sure how to even do that. Yeah.
We're gonna keep on doing this, and we hope you enjoy. I am fully enjoying this.
I'm totally enjoying it.
And let's finish these bottles and look forward to the next meeting of the Wine Cowboys.
Fantastic lineup, also well done. Beautiful presentation.
Yeah. It's good to see what. Otherwise, it sticks to words, you know.
Yeah.
Tasting notes, cool. Cheers.
Stuff. Cheers, my man.
See you next time.
Next time.
I'll cut the ends.